Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is minutes from January 18th, 2024 commission meeting. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion also for the minutes from the commission meeting from January 18th.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is minutes from the January 18th executive session. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion for this one too, for the January 18th executive session to be as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is equipment purchase, Dunbar Creek Water Pollution Control Facility influent pumps. Mr. Burrs?
Yes, sir. At Dunbar Creek on St. Simons Island, we operate a wastewater plant with 4 submersible influent pumps. They are located in 2 separate wet wells. Following the high flow event in December that resulted in a significant overflow in the Glen Haven neighborhood, we pulled one of the 3 influent pumps that were installed simultaneously 20 years ago and sent it to the manufacturer for inspection to determine how to return it to like new condition. Xylem is the manufacturer's representative for Flight pumps. The cost to repair the existing pump is $31,360.04, and it needs repairs to the replacement impeller, a replacement power cable that has a nick in it, and mechanical seals and motor work on that pump. The pump is 20 years old. It has been fully depreciated. Expected useful life on raw sewage pumps, we use 15 years. So we requested a replacement cost for the pump instead of spending $31,000 on a 20-year-old pump. The replacement cost of one pump is $51,579.71. They do not make the exact same pump that they made 20 years ago, but this is the current replacement model from Flight. Given that the other 2 of the other 3 pumps in the hole are of similar age, we requested a quote for 3 replacement pumps to see if there was a cost savings by buying 3 at one time, which was provided for a total cost of $141,451.07. Including the freight, the cost per pump decreased from $51,579 to $47,150. If we buy 3 at one time, it would save $13,288. At the Facilities Committee yesterday, this was discussed and requested pump curves for the parallel pump operations. I have copies of that if anyone would like to see that. The pumps do provide flow of up to over 12.5. Actually, they'll do 13.2 million gallons a day with 3 pumps running. We have 4 pumps, but we use 3 at one time because you have to be able to meet capacity with 1 out of service. So 3 pumps running simultaneously will produce over the 12.5 permitted or designed peak flow for the facility, and we're happy to distribute that should anybody be interested. But they're pretty data oriented if you aren't used to looking at pump curves.
Can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move that the Brunswick Joint Water and Sewer Commission approve the purchase of 3 new Flight influent pumps for Dunbar Creek from Xylem Water Solutions USA in the amount of $141,451.07.
Motion is second. Any questions?
Yes, sir. How long is it gonna take to get these in?
They are on the shelf. They have to do some brackets for the rail system that we have. They should be delivered within 4 weeks. And then we'll have to get, we'll use the crane actually that the contractor at Dunbar Creek has a crane on site. We use their crane to put them in the hole. So once they get here, they'll be installed within the week.
So probably within a month.
Within a month, they'll all, without a doubt, by the end of March, they'll all be in that hole.
Good.
Yes, absolutely. That's another reason we've recommended buying 3, because they have all 3 of them on the shelf right now. We ordered 2 for Academy in August that I still haven't got here. They're on, the joke is they're built in Sweden. They're on the slow boat from Sweden.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Can I have a motion to defer both items 5 and 6, please, till the next commission meeting?
I'd like the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second. Motion is second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is North Mainland Water Pollution Control Facility Anti-Degradation Analysis. Mr. Burrs?
Yes, sir. We've been working with a large parcel owner on the northwest corner of exit 42 to acquire property for a proposed new wastewater treatment plant to handle increased flows in the exit 42 and Highway 99 area due to expected rapid commercial and residential growth on top of the existing customer base. We have a preliminary waste load allocation to discharge into the river there that is included in the Brunswick Harbor TMDL for dissolved oxygen that was issued by Georgia EPD in 2020. The first step in the permitting process is to receive an updated preliminary waste load allocation and complete what's known as an anti-degradation analysis for the new facility. We reached out to Four Waters Engineering to could get a proposal to complete this anti-degradation analysis. Four Waters completed the last 3 master plan updates that we have, so they have all of our existing data on projected flows, the information about our system and models and things like that, so they already have all that information and have a detailed understanding of everything going on there. They have also helped coordinate multiple permitting issues for us in the past. The proposal to complete the anti-degradation analysis is $29,275. This would be paid for out of ARPA funding provided by Glynn County.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water and Sewer Commission enter into an agreement with Four Waters Engineering, Inc. in the amount of $29,275 for completion of an anti-degradation analysis for the proposed North Mainland Water Pollution Control Facility.
Second.
And that, Commissioner, is why we typically call it an anti-deg. So we don't have to
Now you tell us.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is USGS Joint Funding Agreement. Mr. Burris.
Yes, sir. I came up here so we could zoom in on some of the paperwork here. Each year for the past several years, we've entered into what's known as a joint funding agreement with U.S. Geological Survey for groundwater monitoring of the upper Florida aquifer. That is where we get the vast majority of our drinking water. And because of extensive water withdrawals in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there has been saltwater intrusion into that aquifer. This program allows us to monitor the location of that saltwater plume so that we know how it impacts our existing drinking water wells. We have had to, I believe in 2015, shut down the Perry Park well as a drinking water source due to saltwater intrusion. Since that date, there have been no wells that have been impacted. The U.S. Geological Survey maintains these systems, runs the analysis, and all this data is available on time in real time. Well, I say within real time, it's like a 24-hour delay to get the material. But if you look at this here, this is the shape of the chloride plume in the upper Florida aquifer. The warmer the colors, the higher the concentration. So the bright red is the highest concentration. As you can see, it is heavily located near the Georgia Pacific facility out off of 341. There's also areas down towards downtown Brunswick, towards Bay Street, and then a little bit of a drift towards the Pinova well field. One advantage to doing this is A, we know what the chloride concentration is, but B, we've been able to do modeling to determine what happens to this plume should different scenarios take place. With the Pinova facility closing and the shutting down of their wells, we already knew what was going to happen to that chloride plume when that shut down. And I'm happy to say, as long as Brunswick Cellulose continues to pull 30 million gallons of water a day, it's going to stay over there towards them. That will not impact these wells. We do have a few wells that are close to this plume. I'm going to circle them here if you can see my cursor. The Brunswick Villa well is located at the corner of Townsend and Whitlock Street. We do have the the Goodyear Park well adjacent to the hospital in the Goodyear neighborhood, and down here at the Howard Coffin Park well. Those do have real-time monitors on them, and we maintain those every year. So scrolling down to our next set of charts here, you can see kind of the development of this with sampling. You see in the 50s and 60s, there was very little, and then as rates rapidly increased throughout the 70s, you started to see the increase of chlorides throughout the aquifer. And it appears, based off of data, to have peaked around October 2015, because the October 2020 update to this graph shows much cooler colors on here, and much less red and orange. And so that will be updated again in 2025, and we hope to see that process continue. But being the stewards of water in this area, we have funded this agreement for many years, and I've got it in the memo there. Our funding levels have changed drastically. We at one point were funding $134,000. We've been $70,000 to $80,000 the last 3 years. The proposal this year is for us to fund $80,000 of the work. USGS is providing what was it, 74,000? Yes, $74,000 of the proposal. And the increase from the last couple of years is just due to inflationary costs for labor and running the analysis. This is a budgeted item every year in the Office of the Director's Technical Service budget, and should this be approved today, we will cut them a check in March for the next year's worth of work. This was approved yesterday at the Finance Committee.
Can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water and Sewer Commission enter into a joint funding agreement with the USGS in the amount of $80,000 for the continuation of groundwater monitoring for the Upper Floridian Aquifer.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the dedications of easements and infrastructure. Mr. Klein?
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. So from Facilities Committee yesterday, this was presented, and I do want to point out that Facilities did vote to move, I'm not sure why I just took it off there, but I did. Not move one of these dedications forward, so we're only going to do Frederica Marsh Cottages, if I understand correctly, and not do Merritt Place. So I will cover Frederica Marsh Cottages. Go from there.
And, sorry, Mr. Klein, Merritt Place was deferred, is that right? Or-
Deferred to the March
Okay,
meeting.
thank you.
Defer to the March Facilities to address a few questions that came about.
Perfect.
All right, so this is a typical dedication as a result of private construction and development, and this particular development is on St. Simon's Island off of Lawrence Road on the north end of the island. So this development will add 27 new single-family residences to our rolls once they're connected, 27 new customers. And there is a little snapshot of GIS, which doesn't show you a whole lot. So I'm going to take us on a tour real quickly on and zoom out a little bit so you can see exactly where this is as we're talking about it. So St. Simon's Island, and we're going to zoom in once it catches up. Huh. Well, oh well. I'll do it manually. It's north of Pikes Bluff and just a little bit north of Carriage Drive. Keep moving north just a little bit right here. Okay, hopefully everybody is oriented as to where we are. Now you don't see any pipes show up there yet because we haven't drawn them in on GIS yet. If the board does accept this infrastructure, we will draw it in as blue for water and green for sewer and or wastewater collections. And if it remains private, we'll draw it in as red. So this dedication is composed of about 1,900 feet of 8-inch water main and fire hydrants and appurtenances, and about 1,600 linear feet of 2-inch force main, which connects back out to the force main out on Lawrence Road.
This is a low-pressure system.
That's correct.
Each house will have a grinder station at the house that pumps into a manifolded force main that comes back out onto Lawrence Road.
That is correct. Gravity, staff always reviews every proposed development to see if it's within reach, and by definition, within reach means within 500 linear feet of the public system, whether that's water and or wastewater collection. And there's no manhole close to this development, so the only feasible way for them to connect is via force main, hence the grinder station pressurized system. So.
Do we mandate the brand of grinder stations?
The design report includes that, and we have approved manufacturers for grinder stations. However, there has been issues when the pumps go out, that what gets replaced is not always the same pump that came out. That is where we seem to have a little bit of a blind spot that we're trying to solve, because plumbers may recommend one brand that's not the same, and that doesn't, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So.
And this is a grinder pump system, not just a gray water?
Not gray water, it's a grinder pump. This is a VE1 system, right, Todd?
Yes.
And Todd, did they talk to you any at all about cost comparison of installing this versus if gravity was available, what their cost would be? Did y'all have any conversations in engineering about that?
Commissioner, not in this case, since gravity was not available.
We typically have
They
seen,
didn't.
depending on the size, obviously, it's usually, the last one we looked at was about 3 times for gravity what it is for low pressure. But long-term maintenance costs much lower on gravity than it is on low pressure, so.
Well, there's no gravity sewer for this.
No
to
gravity
tie
sewer
into
available
either.
right there for this to
Yeah,
tie to.
that's
Correct.
the main issue here.
Well, and I know, and y'all know I'm a proponent for low pressure and,
Right.
and alternative systems to gravity where we can reach out further. I was just trying to see what kind of data
Right.
might be.
We are
accumulating.
keeping track of that. It is a cost-effective solution in some situations. This is a good location for that, because you can't really extend either way just because you got large parcels on either side that are pretty wet, so.
And the 2 inches sized adequately to service the 27 lots. And
I think in general, you can put up about 40 grinder stations on one 2-inch.
40 to 50 homes it'll comfortably suit. So 2-inch will carry a lot of water.
You cannot put 40 or 50 homes on a 2-inch water main.
Right. And then if it were a 4-inch gravity, force, would that decrease the flow to increase problems? Or do we
Yes.
have data? Yeah, that was my understanding.
If you don't have sufficient velocity in the force main, it settles out, and then you got a septic tank.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water and Sewer Commission approve and accept the project related to Frederica Marsh Cottage's dedication of infrastructure and easements.
Second.
Second the motion.
The second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Executive Director's update.
Yes, sir. We have a lot of work out for public advertisement right now. We have 6 projects out, or 5 projects and 1 contract outside of project work out for bid right now, 4 of which will be returned prior to our next meeting. The Highway 17 North Pump Station bids are due the 21st, so next Wednesday. 4105, 4107 are pump stations along Perry Lane Road. A new force main improvement underneath the tracks there to tie in over there near Crispin Boulevard. That force main improvement project is due back the 27th. Our financial auditing services RFP is due back on the 27th. And a water crossing at Palm Drive going into Sea Palms to increase the main in the middle entrance to Sea Palms there is due back on March the 5th. And yesterday, the Brunswick Villa sewer extension project was advertised. And today, the 4002 basin, which is the south of Gloucester Basin CIPP project, was advertised. So we have a lot of work going on, hoping to get good bids on these, and we can get these underway. We'll have a lot of progress moving on in our system. And then the only other thing I got is Monday is a holiday for President's Day, so our admin offices will be closed on Monday.
Will all of those projects be bid so we can look at them at the next meeting?
4 of them will. Brunswick Villa and 4002 will not.
Okay. Commissioners' discussion, any commissioners?
Those will come in roughly the end of, it's 30-day bids, and they went out this week, so it'll be right after our next meeting.
Any commissioners have any comments or questions or anything?
Mr. Chairman, the water pressure questions that have been up lately, what are we doing about those?
You're referring to the Hampton Point
Yeah.
locations where, today I haven't confirmed, we were supposed to be installing some 24-hour pressure monitors on some of the locations out there. We had an issue that we firmly believe was tied to the elevated storage tank being out. It was brought back in service and seemed to have corrected the problem for approximately 3 weeks, and then it started again. So we're troubleshooting right now, because when the tank came back online, it fixed everything and then it started again. So we don't know exactly what's going on. It's something we'll track down. It likely means there's a valve shut somewhere that we haven't located yet, and something's being single fed from a very long way. But we're doing some diagnosing right now.
Any other comments from any commissioners? For the chairman's update, I just want to appreciate the input we're having from all the commissioners this year. I think we've got a good dialogue, and I'm looking forward to working with each one of you this year. One thing that I have stressed in talking with Andrew and Todd is I think we really do need to update our standards to allow localized treatment systems, like Commissioner Neal just mentioned. We need to put it in our standards, and so we need to start a discussion that we can present to the Facilities Committee so we can present to the full board. So that way, people know that we're going to be considering that. Because we do want to sewer all of Glynn County if at all possible. The other thing is when we have all of these new infrastructure dedications, when we look at those, I know we require them to consider the cost as far as pressure systems versus gravity systems. But I don't think that we're looking long-term as to how we could connect other people to these systems. And I think we need to start doing that. Whether they're existing houses, for instance, on one that we looked at this past time, there's about 15 or 20 or 30 houses in that neighborhood that own septic tanks. But the system is probably not designed to handle those systems. But we're trying to serve everybody. Hopefully we're trying to put sewers in at Arco. There's a lot of unsewered areas out on Old Jessup Highway. And our goal needs to be to have everybody on our sewer system and everybody on our water system. Now, obviously, some people can't be sewer, and they got big lots, but we just need to do that. Also, we have met and we're talking about inspection on our projects. We want to improve our inspection, and we're considering perhaps doing more in-house inspection on the projects that we let out to engineering firms. But that's going to be an ongoing thing. Labor is always an issue, but we feel like we can save some money there. But I appreciate everybody's input, and I think we're moving in the right direction this year. We do need to have an executive session to discuss personnel. Can I have a motion for us to go into executive session?
Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn to executive session for matters of personnel.
Is it second? Motion and second. All in favor? We'll adjourn for executive session. Thank you. regular session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the commission fund the planned compensation 10% for the executive director's CERP as discussed in our executive session.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
That was nice and efficient.